Well, I guess we can start the workshop so that we are not behind time. Yeah,
Good. Yep.
perfect. So, hello everyone. Thank you for joining our Community Builders Workshop. We have Chris Called, who has helped make communities thrive, and he's the founder of Let's Make an Impact. Today, Chris will be the speaker for this workshop on how to grow and launch a powerful online community you can monetize. Chris, over to you. You can just begin this workshop with a little intro of yourself.
Yeah, sure. It's great to see everybody this morning here. I know we're live on LinkedIn also and social media. So welcome to all those that are joining us from the virtual world there and all those that are on live today. But really excited for today. And for those of you that don't know me, really what I do is I help clients stand out from the crowd by building a thriving community that keeps their audience engaged while building a funnel for their brand with challenges. So I am a really, really big community builder. I believe in community substantially. And I believe now in the times that we're in, more people will want to be around community more than ever. As humans, we crave community. That's our natural stance. We want to be around others. We want to move forward faster together. And I'll share one quick little story about me. I'm an endurance cyclist, so I spend a lot of time on a mountain bike, and I do these crazy 100-mile mountain bike rides. But the first place community ever meant anything to me was when I got on the bike. And if you know anything about cycling, there's a peloton. That's where riders come together to get further faster. And when I got around that kind of community and I realized, wow, others can help me with where I'm weak, and then I can help those with where they're weak, and we can get further faster. That's when community really, really started to take stance for me. Since then, I've helped a community of CEOs and entrepreneurs grow and thrive to well into the thousands. And I also helped a brand go from zero, bring something to market, build a community around that, and cross the $5 billion mark in under 5 years of sales. So I'm really big into community. I like bringing people together and helping them transform and get to the next level. Excited for today.
That's amazing, Chris. Well, I guess we can just start with the presentation. Could you cast the presentation, or
Yeah,
do you
I
want?
mean, it's up to you, however you want to go. I mean, I have a presentation we can go through if you'd like. I could ask some questions. Anybody that has questions, I would encourage you. I can't see the questions on LinkedIn, so if you see any as we go through this, feel free to share questions with me. But if you want, I can go into a little bit of an overview, get things started. And what I really want to do is help people learn how to design their own community today, and then give them some tips on how to monetize it. I mean, that's really what I'd like to show here. So if that's fair with you, I'll definitely start there.
Perfect, perfect. So anybody who is participating for this workshop, you have any questions, drop below on the chat. We can go through one by one questions, and Chris can help you out. And this meeting is also recorded for those who cannot stay for the complete workshop. You will definitely have the live recording on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Also, if you'd like to have the recording, I can also send it to you. So that's not a problem. Yeah. So Chris, you
Perfect.
can give us a little overview of today's workshop, like what are we going to talk and your expertise on it.
Yeah, sure. And I'm excited. I see a lot of people who are from the SaaS community and Web 3.0 out here. So that's really awesome. Tell us a little bit about, before I start this, because you guys have decided to build a community, you're helping others build a community. Tell me a little bit about what the initiative was to really look at the Web 3.0 space. Because here's why I asked that. This is a writer downer. In this day and age, people want to be in community more than ever, but you cannot have a generic community. You have to be really, really dialed in on the kind of community that you build and the people group you focus on. So I'd love to get some insight on, what really had you focus on the Web 3.0 community, because I believe it's one of the biggest communities about to launch out there. And we could go ahead. There he is.
Hi, Chris. Thanks for taking out the time to have the call. I'm Ankur. I'm the co-founder of Yuki. And the reason we started this was we built out the product, our initial product, Wadu, out of a community on a Facebook group. realize it has challenges as you scale up. And yeah, so interactions went down. There was a lot of noise on the platform. There was some integrations we wanted to have a deeper relationship with the users, which were not there. So we built out an internal tool for our own company and our community, and realized that others also wanted this. We saw a lot of movement from Web 2 to Web 3, a lot of adoption there. Realize the core for building any project or product on Web 3 is a community. So you start with a community, then you step up into a product based on the feedback of the users, based on the acceptance of the users. So we build out a product from ground up, which would help you enable that. We realized Discord and Telegram, which were the de facto in Web3, weren't solving those challenges. They were particularly messaging platform for gaming and for a normal chat platform like Telegram. So they weren't solving for all the use cases. You had to use a third-party tool to do drops. It was instantaneous, so you didn't have a place where you can hold all your content together. You had to use another product to hold a forum or a knowledge base. They weren't integration, so you can connect your wallet, verify users. So all you had to do was use the main platform, use a bunch of integration, and then set up a community. We realize they have scale, so you can build out your base there, and then move out your premium users as you get experience building a community platform to our platform like Yuki, which is a white label community platform, and build ground up for you to manage your user base, especially if they are premium. So you can run subscriptions also, both in fiat as well as cryptos. One time or recurring, connect your wallet, showcase your NFTs, and token-based membership. That's super cool. So initially NFTs were really about art. Now they're about ownership as well inside a community. You get access to event, you get access to a subgroup or a space inside a community, or even a community using a token. So it's super premium, super exciting, the concept of tokens. We would be sort of getting into DAOs as well. So you can manage your entire ownership of a community and delegate it with your users using DAOs. So that's in the roadmap. So super excited about the space, and I would love to hear your thoughts on building out a community.
Yeah, I'm excited about this because when I saw what you guys were doing, I was like, all right, they got a nice niche. They're going after a really big market segment. But you said something key that like this is another writer down there for everybody listening.
Yeah.
Don't try doing this on a social media platform, building community. I mean, you're going to find your tribe, your people group. And I see a question here, along, hey, Chris, I'm looking for more women users in my online community for writers. I'm going to talk about that today. I'll actually cover different areas of that. But, social media, there's so much noise. I love LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn user, but I go on there, there's a bajillion distractions. So like what you're doing is the way to take it into a branded private community, to bring your people group together where there's no distractions, where you can give them what they need and bring that support mechanism together. So I love supporting companies like yours, and I appreciate you showing up today to allow me to do this, because this is what we're seeing right now. I have different communities. I help people launch communities, and it's the ones that are bringing them into a private realm and finding that ideal member. And I'm going to give some tips on how to get that ideal member, right? It's a little bit different for everybody, but when they're together, the engagement's there because people want to be there and they want to accomplish something awesome together.
Absolutely. Love to hear your thoughts on building it out. We can get started. Yeah.
Okay, great. So here's what I'm going to do. I don't want to slide everybody to death, so I'm going to bounce in and out of slides. So as I go through a few things, I'll unclick from the slides. Feel free to ask questions. If you see anything, I can't see the LinkedIn or Twitter questions. So if you put them in the chat, I'll address them. I like to interact with those. So as I go through this, please make sure, ask a few questions. I'll stop, I'll answer them. I always keep my chat open, but I'll go a little bit into a presentation because I do have a couple gifts to give everybody that's attending too also today. So let me just move a couple things. I'm going to share my screen and then we'll get off to the party here today. And then you'll learn, here we go. Let me start here. Here's my gift. I like to start everything off with the gift, and just somebody give me a confirmation in the chat that you're seeing my screen. You should be. If not, I'll make sure that you are. But here's my gift. I have a download. It's about 30 pages long, and you're going to get access to this. And I'll give you the page that you can go to for this, but it's the ultimate step-by-step guide to start, launch, and scale a thriving community online. So it's going to validate everything I share with you. There's a complete framework here. And the key thing you're going to get out of this, use a company like Yuki on this, okay? You want to have a branded platform that you control, you own, that there's no social media saying, hey, you can do this, you can do that. There's no ads popping in front of people. This is exactly what you want to do that. Okay, so let's go through a few things here. I'm going to bounce from some slides because we were just kind of talking through this. Here's 2 questions I always ask somebody to ask themselves when they come to me and say, Chris, I want to build a community. Because I believe when somebody wants to build a community, wants to build any kind of program, I always have them look back at who they were 3, 4, 5, maybe 10 years ago and ask themselves, because this is always comes out, who are you fighting for and why are you fighting for them? So you can put that in the comments if you want. That's usually a very long answer, but I guarantee you that questionnaire will change the game for you on how you build your community out, because you're going to realize, wow, I used to be in this realm. I might have been an executive at this company and I jumped into entrepreneurship and I'm doing this. And I know so many people who have the pain out there. You will attract those people seeking the transformation that you're able to do. So keep that in mind. It's a great question. We're going to go through rather quickly because I only have a short amount of time, but I'm going to give you a couple of gifts as we go through this, so it'll help you get something unique. We're going to create a community where people master something interesting together. So I see a couple of questions around, hey, Chris, I'm trying to attract this kind of client and get more of them. I'm going to give you a lot of good tips through this, and then I'll give you an opportunity to learn where you can get some more on a challenge I always do that's around community building. So here we go. Here's what I want you to leave with today, okay? New insights into the power of community building. I want to give you some key design elements because this is where people miss a lot of this. And these design elements are gold. They work. My clients are implementing them. I implement them. So these are writer downers. I'll give you access to these slides too to learn how to get that. And then a simple, right? We only have so much time, so I'm keeping track of the time, but at least a simple framework to show you how to monetize community, because that's another part. You want to monetize community. I talked about a company I helped get to $1 billion in sales over 5 years, right? They monetized that community, but it was all what the key differentiator wasn't the product was unique early to market, but it was the community around it. And I'll talk about that a little bit more as we go through it. So here's 3 simple truths about community. Here's why I love community. It gives you the ability to navigate a rapidly changing and chaotic world. I don't know, put some stuff in the chat here, put it on LinkedIn and on Twitter. Is it kind of chaotic out there right now? This being around others, I talked about my cycling experience. We move fast in there. It's kind of chaotic in the Peloton. You got to be around others who can help you. To me, it's the single best place to build new practices, right? Web 3.0 right now. You want to be around people who want to be around that and bring new innovative ideas. Whatever that community idea is that you have, it is the single best place to build new practices. And it's also the single best place to achieve results and transformation. I'm going to show you a couple of examples of some communities we've built so you can kind of get an idea of what I mean by that. So here's where I look at community, and it doesn't matter where you are, how you are, but you have an ideal member who starts, right? They're like, hey, what's Chris got? What's Rez got? What's Mark got here? What are they doing? What's this all about? But where are you going to take them, right? It's all about the results and transformation. That's the key thing that you want to highlight when you talk about anything with community building. Where are you going to help somebody transform to? Because when you can do that, you will be able to monetize it. Mark my words on that, and I'll give you some framework on that as we go through this. So, I saw this quote from Seth Godin pretty recently. When the world changes and it does faster than ever, it's community and connection that moves us forward. I believe community is the best business to build in 2022. I'm seeing it happen left and right. My experience has shown that. I believe hosting it's one of the greatest single assets that will perform over time compared to, and hey, listen, I have e-commerce business, social commerce, information-based products, right? I use community to leverage all that. So to me, it's like, why not build a community and then bring in all the different offerings you have? And here's the thing, no matter what happens, whatever in the economy, up, down, left, right, upside down, whatever it is, when it's good, it's down, People are going to continue in value and buy memberships, community courses, community offerings, even in the most challenging times. And I believe they buy them more in the most challenging times also. So I'm going to give you this deck, but this here, this is the key to marketing to the masses. Now, I can't spend a lot of time on this right now, but here's the key thing I want you to get out of this. And you want to screenshot this, go ahead. This is a gold slide right here. The key thing you want to get out of this, especially building a community, or I like to call them movements, because that's what you're doing. We are in the human connection economy. That's what it's all about. Okay. So I kind of look at when you're going to show somebody what a community offering is, it's a new opportunity for them. It's a transformation, and community is the tool you're going to use. So as we go through this, what you want to look at, right? When you build a community, there's a charismatic leader in a community, okay? Not an ego-based one. You know, the egos in community don't work too well. Ego is definitely not your amigo if you're a community builder. So you have that charismatic leader. I like to call that, eventually they get that lone nut, right? That first lone nut. I have a video that really shows that. Maybe if I remember at the end, I'll show you where to get that video. But what's happening is that charismatic leader is bringing people to a future-based cause, whatever that cause is, and they put a new opportunity in the middle, which is results that they'll get for others. So I talked about this. I'm going to skip this slide where I found community, talk about who I am a little bit more. But here's what I ask you for the next, whatever, 15, 20 minutes as I go through this, and we'll take questions, and keep on dumping questions in the chat. I have the chat open here. So as I see them, if they're relevant to where I am, I'll definitely bring them up. And the few that have been in there, they're going to get answered as I go through this. Just give yourself some time right now and just take your know-it-all and put it to the side. That's all I ask you, because some of the things I hear say, you will be like, I heard that, but there's going to be key points if you're listening and paying attention that you're going to get that I absolutely guarantee you are new to you, because, you know, we're doing this day in and day out with clients. So what I'm sharing is real-time stuff. So let's imagine a world where you can have a profound impact on people's lives, especially in a moment of rapid change and uncertainty. You can create something that people love, right? I mean, that's the beauty of community. This is something people will love when you create it. You can create something that people need. You'll have your ideal members. Here's one, and I'm going to show you something pretty cool in a second what I mean by this. But when your ideal members, you know, whatever your avatar is, your target niche, I'm just going to call them ideal members, okay, are recruiting new members on your own. If you have a paid community, that's the greatest thing. When people are helping you fill that without your efforts, that is the best thing. And then let's keep this conversation going. Your ideal members are bringing new ideas and new ways to help more people. See, this is what I like about community. When you're around all these others, you get new ideas. Your community brings you new ideas. It gives you ideas and new things to launch, to bring more value to your community or your business. You're spending your time on the things that you love and can uniquely offer people. You're generating real revenue and meaningful income, because people pay attention to what they pay for. You know, this is one of the things I want you to get out of this as I get towards the end of this presentation. I'm going to give you some tips on how to monetize community. I can tell you from doing this enough, the most successful communities people are paying to be in. Now, you heard earlier, hey, the engagement's down. See, that's when somebody says to me, I have no engagement, and I don't use Facebook or LinkedIn or anything for building community, right? It's all about tools like Yuki here. So when somebody says to me, I don't have engagement, it's because people aren't paying for it, right? People pay attention for what they pay for. I could give you so many statistics on that, but that's really what you want. Less is more when you're building community. Believe it or not, people think I'm crazy when I say that. Another magic number to write down is 30. When you can start a community with 30 that are especially paying you, things start to accelerate. And here's the thing with community, you know, you're building something important that at first may have felt impossible. So here's the secret thing I want you to get out of this slide. I'm not going to read this. I've already this come out of my mouth a few times, but here's the key thing. No matter what your business is, your business can be copied. That's the reality in this world, but a community cannot be copied. So I helped the company launch, and they came in blue ocean, right? They were one of the first. They brought a disruptive health and wellness product to the industry. Everybody came against them, said this stuff doesn't work. You're crazy. You're nuts. They did this in 2015. Fast forward, they're doing billions in sales now. But you want to know what? If you read Blue Ocean Strategy, the red ocean started coming in there, right? Attacking everything they did. Oh, that patent's gone. This patent's gone. Oh, we can replicate this. The red ocean is still out there fighting each other. These guys, because they built the largest community in the industry, they're still charging triple the pricing, bringing new products to market, and gaining market share while everybody else is fighting in the red ocean. So you've got to understand, you build a community that's strong enough, yeah, your products are important, but listen, that's when the game changes. The community will help you get it to the next level. And here's what I mean by this. When you have a community, right? I believe it supports every stage of a funnel, right? I help people, I help a lot of subject matter experts launch their programs. And to me, it's like, hey, this community that you build is your funnel, right? It's the keys. What this really is showing you here is it helps them grow, engage, and nurture. That's what community does. And when you do this correctly, it's bringing awareness to who you are, it's bringing interest to what you're doing. Conversions are starting to happen, right? When you have community, yeah, you might have what I'll show you is like charging it for monthly and so forth and so on. But more than likely, you'll see on a value ladder, I'll show you have a much larger program. People start to convert, companies start to convert into those larger programs. But the best part is the retention mechanism that happens out of this, right? When you have retention, that's when you have advocacy throughout the process. So I was talking about clients referring members to you. That's what advocacy is all about. So this is really, really, really critical to know. An online community supports everything there is in the entire marketing cycle. So here's what I have done, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to get access to this at the end. But I've been doing for the last 4 or 5 months a community builder mastery challenge, and I had hundreds and hundreds of individuals and companies and subject matter experts go through this. But what I determined out of this is people right now more than ever want to launch communities or be part of communities. So we've been doing this. I'll give you an option to get this at the end if you want on replay. Highly engaging, and it's going to take everything I'm showing you today into a deeper level. But here's what we covered on that, just so you know. I got people really crystal clear on their big idea, which I'm going to help you with today. Then I really dived into designing their community. I designed it to run effortlessly. See, that's key. A lot of people have this myth, oh, community's hard. It takes a lot of work. I help people get around that. I use the challenge model. If you're not aware with that, basically it's a taste and see marketing model. And I show people how to design a challenge to launch their community. And then I give them the steps of the successful challenge, which at the end of this, all converted people into their community. So I'll give you a way to get that towards the end of this presentation. Covered this already, but here's what I want you to see out of community, right? You can see when you look at this, and a lot of these you're seeing on this slide here of who builds community, a lot of them are saying they do it, but they do it online on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. That is the biggest mistake you can do. I understand the attraction mechanism. However, what happens if Facebook closes you down one day? Instagram, LinkedIn boots you. I've been kicked out of LinkedIn a few times for reasons I can't even ever figure out, right? What happens if that happens permanently in your communities out there? You got to use these branded tools where you can control everything. So you can see the different kind of individuals here on the right who are using community, but here's what it really does. You heard me say it turns followers into engaged evangelists to drive traffic to resources, which helps you retain clients and increase your revenue. And here's the biggest win for all of us. When you build a community professionally, you build relationships, you build processes and features necessary to ensure our community supports as many aspects of the business as possible. So let me get into some of the meat and bones of what you want to see here. I want you to understand this because this is big. A lot of people come to me for help, and then I'm going to go into some design elements. I'm going to give you some other tips to get things going to monetize it. Then we'll wrap up here and I'll take questions the rest of this. But here's something that a community is not. Please understand this. You do not need a massive following of tens of thousands of members. When somebody's like, oh, I think I don't want to start with 3 or 4. Well, here's a writer down there. I started with 3 with my community. Okay. I started with 3, just so you understand. I love it because I see what happens from those 3. And a lot of people take their social media content and they post it into their community. No, it's not that. Community is not made or broken on a single set of features. So when you find a tool you believe in and you love, like you key here, you work with that tool and you go forward and you use it as your tool. Like software is always going to change, but as long as they have a roadmap of where they're going, you'll be able to leverage that. And here's something that's big. You want to get engagement in your community. So like in my community, I never add a link and just say, hey, what do you think? Nobody engages on that stuff. If somebody's paying to be part of something, make it engaging, have them open insights. So here's what community has in general. At the end of the day, joy, purpose, energy, feeling part of something bigger, working towards a common goal. Here's another big thing. talking about NFTs and things like that here. That's a very vulnerable space because people are learning new things. They're facing challenges. They're looking for solutions together. You got to allow people to not, people always feel this thing, like they'll say to me, Chris, I want to ask you this in private because I feel stupid asking this. And I'm like, no, let's ask that in public, because if you feel that way, there's about 30 other people who feel the same way. So I asked them, so let's just go put that out there in public. And it's amazing how many people, because they're in the right community, where, oh my gosh, I had the same question. I just didn't want to ask it. So understand that, right? You have the vulnerability in this community, open it, and then work together to have purpose, to build skills and get better. So here's what I want to do. I forget who it was asking me about an idea of how to get more individuals that are focused on writing, more women. Pay attention right here, because this is the part I'm going to give you what I call the key element designs here. So when I look at the key element designs, it comes to your purpose. Each and every one of us have a different big purpose out there. That's why I asked you that question really early on. Whom are you fighting for? And why are you fighting for them? So your big purpose is the motivation for your community. So I'm going to give you a framework from this photo here next, so you can see what I mean by this. And I'm going to give you an example community so you can see what this looks like, because this will help you. Best big purposes, whatever they are, because in this day and age, if you just put a generic anything out there, community, program, offering, people are not going to pay attention to it. There's too much noise. You got to speak right to their heart. Yep, I want to be part of this. So your big purpose needs to be very specific. Clearly picture whom this community serves. Who is that people group? The more narrow, the more targeted, the more focused. Guess what? The more people that are going to come in that community that you want to be around. I'm going to show you a perfect example of a community in a couple slides here. The next one, make this exciting. I don't know about you. I want to be around something that's new, fun, learning something, has energy to it. So make sure when you write the purpose out that it's motivating and fun. Have an adventure along the way that people want to be part of. And then the results. See, this is where a lot of people start to miss. Oh, I can't charge for my community. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. When you see how I structure it, it'll be, oh, that's why. Now I can charge for it. But the rewards of mastering the topic together, that's amazing. And then you've got to make sure whatever you have can only be achieved by working together, right? So like when I talked about the Peloton, we can only go further faster together. You've got to make sure that that's it. So here's the structure of your big purpose. Here's what it looks like, okay? So example, I prefer we. I prefer we because you're building on community. Remember that, right? We are doing this together. So we bring together whatever subject matter experts. Using an example here. 2, what are your members going to master together? And I'm going to show you exactly how this looks played out so that we can receive result number 1, result number 2, and result number 3. So I'm going to tell you in a few slides, I'm going to show you what I mean by results, because that's where a lot of people miss this. Like this framework I just showing you right here is gold. This is gold because if you speak this to those target ideal members and you can speak this smoothly, they're going to want to be part of your community. So I'm going to bring a slide. You can read it for a second and then I'll read it to you. I just need to take a sip of water here. But here's a small business owner community. So feel free to read that for 1 second. All right, I'm back. Okay, so what am I showing you here? This is a real live community out there. We bring together 30 something. So that's the age group, men, okay? Specific, new to small business ownership, okay? Very specific there to make the best, most well-informed decisions about launching and growing our businesses so that we can successfully build something we can be proud of and have a positive and meaningful impact on our customers and employees while realizing clear financial goals for ourselves. So let's just go back to what I showed you here. That plays this out 100%. We bring together your ideal member, boom, boom, boom. That's exactly what I just showed you here. So you could take a screenshot of this. Like I said, you're going to get this for being on here today, but I wanted to make sure you got to see that because that's really, really critical. Now, the next step, okay? So that's how you design it. That's how you get your naming down. You might be on Zoom meetings. We're on a lot of Zoom meetings these days, virtual events. If you could dial that in, hey, here's what my community does. Here's the people group. Somebody absolutely positively knows somebody that would be an ideal member for your group. So when I work with clients, I'm very focused on getting this message so dialed for them. So when they have conversations and they talk about the community, it just comes out and somebody's like, oh, I know 3 people that would be all over that. See, that's where we miss a lot of this. Oh, I have a general small business owner community. Oh, great. Like, but when you get very specific, you know what, Chris, that's John. He's 32 years old. He's got a small business and wherever, boom, that's the person I want. So keep that specific. Now, to take this to the next level, right? Now there's your story ties into your big purpose and comes over to your ideal member. So what's your story? What is it? What's the circumstances? Remember how I said those first few questions? Whom are you fighting for and why are you fighting for them? Boom, look back on that. What was your identity? Maybe that's who you were, and you now know you've come to the other side. You can help that people group. What's your cultural background? Where have you been and why? What have you achieved, and who have you helped along the way? And who have you and what have you taken a stand for? Here's the thing you're going to learn with community building. I mean, here's the red alert. You are going to learn that you're going to repel people and you are going to attract people. That's fine. You're standing for something. It doesn't matter what you're standing for. That's what you believe. Don't let others knock you down because you're going to believe something. You know, when I worked with this company, we launched this, we were in an industry where like we were in biohacking. Okay. Everybody attacked us. That stuff can't do that in the body. Fast forward, here it is. It didn't even take, it took 3 years and all of a sudden a movement was created. So you might have something in your heart that you know, oh my gosh, half the world's going to attack me. That means you're supposed to do it because that's something you believe for and you take a stand for it. So awesome. Yeah, Calvin. So, okay, your answer. Perfect. These are the ugliest and most clear side. Yeah, I try to keep your eyeballs on this. Okay, so you'll get this. Now, let me show you what's next. I talked about this. Here's part 2 of the equation. So we talked about the starting program. Now, here's when I look at what's going to happen when somebody becomes part, and then I'm going to show you how to monetize your community, and then we're going to wrap this up. I'll take questions. So we're coming to a finish line. Cycling guy here, we're coming to a finish line. But here's phase 2 of this. Top results for a year in life. So you're going to start a community. Let's look what happens over the next year if somebody joins your community, right? Because they're going to be paying you to come into your community. What's going to happen in their life? So what do I look at when I do this? Member result number 1. So you can kind of go back with you saw on that, and I'll go back to that slide if you need to. So there's what's one member result they're going to get from being part of it. Member result number 2. What's a result they get? So what's 2 results they get? And then what's the result you get? Okay. So whatever that is, you know, you're going to help a member do X. You're going to have help a member get X and Y. And in return, I get Z, right? Because you're building something. So take really good consideration on this. And I start asking, you know, here's some questions for you. What are your members able to do in a year that they can't do today? What have they learned from you? What have they learned from each other? Okay, those are some key questions. And then your results. How are you able to structure your life in a year in a way you can't today? Because now you have a community, you got it running, your life's going to change. Are you able to invest more time into that mission? I talk about missions that matter, right? Are you able to put more time in that now because you now have your community growing and thriving? What does it look like to control your own schedule? Have you achieved your specific goals, right? These are the questions that all tie into member result number 2, and your results. So if you kind of look back at the slide I showed you earlier with the small business, and I can go back to that when we open up for Q&A, they have that set up. So here we go. I'm going to go into how to monetize this. You know, I'm moving fast because we only had so much time today and I'm coming into a finish line right now, but I'll show you how you can get more of this a little bit deeper in a second. But community monetization, okay? It's all about the more value you give, the more pricing you go along, right? So here's a value ladder. This is very generic. You start off with something that's free or low entry, then you have a front end, then you have a middle road, and then you have a high end. So I'm going to just give you an example. Let me go over slides here, and then I'm going to show you all how to monetize. So here's an example of what this would look like, right? Ultimately, in a value ladder, you have this high-end program. This is where you want your community members ultimately. So that could be a $5,000, a $10,000, a $20, $50, $100, $1 million program. I don't know what the program is. Using different example, right? It could be software that's $1 million a year. But more than likely, you're going to have a value ladder to get people along this way. Hey, people will jump in on the high end, no doubt. You bring enough value, boom, they will. But others want to get to know you along the way. So why not have the value ladder? So that's what I mean. So like what I do with my programs is I go with something like this. That gift I gave you, I'm going to give you, is the ultimate step-by-step guide to start, launch, and scale a thriving online community. That's free. Download it. It's 33 pages long. There's gold in there. And then from there, I move people to my community builder mastery challenge. I do an academy that shows people all what I'm teaching here in much deeper dive. And then I have a much larger program that's a pay-as-you-win program. So this is my value ladder. So how do you get there? And I'm going to give you 4 ways to start your community, real simple, to monetize it. And then we'll take questions and wrap up here. Here's one way. You can do this. I'm going to tell you, free. It's simple, the support system to start. Expect a lot less engagement. People pay attention to what they pay for. So that's my only tip for you there. If you start something free, just expect, like, if you have 100 in that community, because it's a lot easier to put 100 people into something free. Don't be surprised if your engagement's 3-4%. That's just the brutal reality when people don't pay for things. But here's another way. This is a way that a lot of my clients work, right? It's a paid community. And I'm just using an example here, okay? A blogger mastermind. So this mastermind is the place you go for tips, tricks, and techniques to help you be more successful as a subject matter expert. This person charges, I'm just giving you ideas, $25 to $197 a month, whatever that is. That is a simple example of a way to start a paid community. Another one that we work with that's really good, 4 ways to start. So it's paid in a course bundle. So we do a lot with these. Paid in course bundle. Here's what I mean by that. It's a very effective approach. It's a front door entrance. Might have a course. Like, I have an academy. Okay, I don't do courses. I do more of an academy where I walk people through things. But then it has a monthly, quarterly support structure. So here's an example. You join a community, and I actually thought this marketing out, whoever's comment, Bo, was join a community of a visual thinkers that revolves around sketchnoting as their power. So what does this look like? That course, just an example, might be $199, plus it's $19 a month to stay in the community for sketchnoting support, right? Or the person might just say, hey, out of the gate, just pay $399, you're covered for the first year. This is a very popular way to get people into your communities. Another way that we see this, and then I'm going to show you a final slide, and then I'll take questions the rest of this, is this one right here. Free plus a paid course system. So what do I mean by that? You have an email list right now. So you get them into your community. You do what I do, challenges to get them into the community. And then those who upgrade get the course, the coaching program. So here's an example. Did a client's mindful living challenge. It had a free offer, but then it had a VIP offer. I'm going to tell you 100%, all the VIPs went into the next level. There was like a handful of the frees that went into the next level. So just remember everything I'm saying here. People pay attention to what they pay for. But the upgrade out of this was a course into the community of the world's leading true human networks for mindful learning and living well. So that's that. So I'm going to take questions now, but I'm going to show you, if you want to know more options to help you, you can go to this page here, Tea with Chris. Okay. That community guide that I talked about, go download it. It's free. You'll see it right on there. Grab the free step-by-step guide to start launching your community. If you'd like to go through the 5-day challenge I did, it's all recorded and you get 30 days of community support. Hey, I'm showing you exactly how to monetize a community. Okay. I do that for $147. Yes, please ask questions here. You can go to the page. And then I have an academy coming up in August. You'll see on that. You can reach out to me directly. I'm not going to go through that now, but we're going to take everything I took here, take it to another level, and help you launch your community as you go into the fall. So with that said, Tea with Chris is the best place to find all this. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm going to end my slideshow because I feel like I've been talking for a long time, but I will definitely take any questions. And was this helpful? Please let me know if this was helpful. You're muted.
Yeah. So I see that we had a question at the beginning of the session by Aishwarya. So she wanted to know, what are your pro tips on bringing more women users into online community for writers?
Yeah, so I would go into, some of the structure that I showed of how to build like the ideal member, really narrowed down with the big purpose. So some of those earlier slides I showed with I don't know how the wording is of that community, but really how to get that dialed in so it speaks to those individuals. And then, quite frankly, I would do something that, could it be a course or could it be a workshop that leads into community support after? Because here's what happens. I know anything I teach, I can teach it really well. I don't mean that arrogantly, but what happens on the other side, and any of you out there, what's going to happen after that is they're going to need community support. People want that support. So however you structure that, they're going to want that. So that's a really simple gateway to get people into your community.
Perfect. Well, I'm getting cut out from the meeting. I'm not able to see the chat.
I can see it. I can see it now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to read, so that's why if you see me looking over here,
Yeah.
okay, my business is close. Okay, Mark, I see what you're saying. So I recommend to start anything, start with one. I can't even stress that any other way. Anything you do, start with one. So like you, I showed my value ladder, Mark. I started it with the community, well, the free guide that went to the Community Builder Mastery Challenge, which led the way up. You know, I do now have a couple communities going because I have, I don't want to word it this way. Those that go through the Community Builder Mastery Challenge, ultimately, some of them are going to go to the higher level community where there's more interaction. So I have a couple, but if I started that from day one, I would have never been able to support it because there's a lot of mechanisms on the back end you need. So it's an easy user experience when they come in there. So my advice for you, Mark, is just start with one and then build from there. I hope that helps. Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate that. Ooh, yeah, Leona, 100 niches. Wow. So here's how I would attack that. I mean, it's going to go down to what I just said. I guess here's for a person like that, what's the niche that speaks the deepest to their heart to start with? I'm really big on clarity. My word for the year is clarity. And you know, hey, I'm an entrepreneur. You know, I get squirrels that come in my mind all the time crossing this screen. And I just know I got to stay clear on the mission because like I'll get 19 ideas in a day. And like if I go after them all, I'll accomplish nothing. So I would really focus on what's the niche that speaks to the heart the most and then build off of that. 100 niches is huge, but you're going to need a lot of people to help support that. So get the structure in place and then start to go. Here's the beauty. You know, once you start something niched down, it's very easy to expand it to the next tier once you get it going. But if you try to do that all at once, my gut's going to tell me it's not going to work out too well based on what I've seen. You're welcome. For those of you online, there's a chat going on here. I'm going to answer in the chat as it goes along here. Well, awesome. If there's
also if anybody wants to like turn on your cameras and like ask the question directly, you're most welcome. Please do that. Don't be shy.
Yeah, if you're on camera, hop in here. It's lonely being on camera by myself. No, but I do appreciate all the interaction. You know, I believe each and every person has a mission, a movement within them. It's just a matter of, I mean, here's the thing. Are you ready to take action and go do it? That's the biggest thing. You know, when I do my Community Builder Mastery Challenge over those 5 days, people have massive breakthroughs. And I always tell them, and some of you probably already have breakthroughs in this little moment together. This thing called resistance comes against you. You know, me being a cyclist, the wind hits, I'm climbing up mountains and like it gets a lot harder. I know I have to push through that resistance to get to the draft that's on the other side of things. So if you got some aha moments or new ideas just through this, seriously, dig into those and push through the resistance. Because the easiest thing for you to do right now is sit back and do nothing. And there's a people group who are out there waiting for you for what you have to help them get to that next level. And if you don't take that action, somebody else is going to eventually. So get ahead of the curve because you know, you're so unique at what you do, whoever this, you know, whatever we each do, there's a people group that will want to work with you. Trust me on that. Thanks, Rez. Appreciate that comment. Yeah. Specialization. Absolutely.
Chris.
Yes.
Hi. Well, we don't have that much to sell. Actually, we are non-profit for water. And people are interested in water, and they trust, probably as long as they trust their government that their tap water is okay. Then maybe if they are asking their question, what's in it for me, they may be interested in a reverse osmosis filter, whatever. But we do have a challenge to indeed get the engagement on the platform going. We are still free on donation based. So yeah, we are looking at making tiers or so why we can offer services or whatever to the community. But it's difficult to create like what is my ideal client. The only thing that I can tell you about is that we are coming from a scientist based background, where we found that all the science is non-return on investment, right? And even the most famous water researchers, their laboratories are closed down because lack of money. Then the companies that make water filters or other special stuff, that they need research and sometimes misuse research, and we want to offer something that is independent and pure. And then the consumer needs the research, but of course, a lot of consumers at this moment do not understand, because from their what is in it for me kind of perspective, what I experience, that they prefer buying maybe a filter instead of donating to research. So that's actually a very difficult thing for like, what will be my ideal client?
Yeah, you have multiple ideal clients. I mean, that you have multiple different segments to look at. I mean, I would just, is there any segment that you're finding less challenging to get into the community and bring to the next level? Have you found that at all, or analyzed that at all?
But we basically, no, not really. The people that we have right now are involved in water projects, into healing water, cleaning up water, rivers, whatever they want to do, or spiritual work with water. But there's not that much money involved, I would say, or yeah, I find that very challenging part. What is our ideal customer? That then it will be very easy to target and build on that.
I would suggest, like, whatever the group is, trying like a beta push, just to see if you can get anything moving forward with them. So even along my journey, some of the things I did, I focused on a couple different niches, and I tested each of them at the same time in a different way, not the way from a community perspective. But when I finally landed on the one, like, wow, this message resonates the most with them, I just went all in on that, which was subject matter experts for me. But like, I tested a couple just to see where we go. So I might look at, you said something about, I heard you say something about the spiritual aspect. Maybe start with that group, right? Because they have a concern for the earth typically. And that might get you a little bit more momentum. Now, when you look at that, you could break that down into all different, okay, what realm of spirituality? I'm not going to get into that, but like, that might be where you start to really get a focus. I had some people do some of that with their communities, and they got really niched on a different aspect of spirituality, and they really started to get some movement on it. So I'm only saying that because I heard that, right? You could have said a whole different thing like athletes, and I would have went down a whole different path if you said athletes. Which that could be another good realm for you, the athletic world, right? I mean, athletes care about their body. If you have anybody on that, that's a whole different, but then you can really like, okay, what kind of athlete? Because the more you become known as that person for that people group, the easier everything else will get down the road.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then Bo, thanks. I'm glad I helped you out. Bo, here's something I would suggest. I've done this enough, and I understand the value of this. I understand people want to start with something free. I'm just going to tell you, when you do it free, there's going to be less engagement. So if you're going to start with something free, there'll be less engagement. And, even like I started multiple things free from a community perspective, and it'd be like, 400 people in here like that. But then I'd look, wow, 20 engaged. Then I literally went to a point where I had 30 join a community that was paid and 30 were engaging. So really take that to heart where you go from there, because that's a big thing there. And so, I mean, whatever your heart tells you, my recommendation, Bo, I don't know what you do, is to have some type of simple download or little video that people could watch that's free to get to know you, and then that leads to a paid community or an event that you're going to do. Yeah, Chella says it right there. People that pay attention and take action. I mean, I do challenges, right? I help clients use the challenge model for their business. And when we look at the conversions on the other side, it is almost, it's there are some that convert free. There are, but it is like 0.0000%. And the other thing I noticed too is those that pay, they never have challenges finding anything in the community page because they watch the introduction video. They watch the purpose of things. Like I see it time and time again. Like they're the ones I never get questions from. Or if I do, it's usually Chris, I might have missed this in the video, but I'm like, whoa, they watched the video. So like, it's the world we live in. A lot of stuff that gets thrown at us. Awesome. Well, hey, I really appreciate this today.
Yes, it was a pretty insightful workshop. We have a couple more questions. I guess we can do it for another 5 minutes and then wrap it up. We have a question from BO. Do you suggest starting a community from the scratch as a paid community?
Yeah, I just answered that.
Yeah,
I
Chris
just
just
answered
answered
that.
that. Yeah.
Yep.
Perfect. Any more
I-
questions? Any more
we-
questions you have? You can drop it in the chat or you can drop it directly to Chris. I have shared the link on the chat and we can try to answer them for you.
Thanks, Bo. Thanks for mentioning the UK team, and happy to organize more sessions like this in community building. And thanks a lot, Krish, for
no problem.
for having this session. It was super insightful, even for me, who's building a community platform for developers, creators, brands to grow their reach. And yeah, I a lot of ideas in my mind as well, and would like to keep them and think over it, how I can utilize them to build a great product. Yeah, any closing notes?
There's a massive need for what you're doing. Massive need.
Thank you. Thanks, Rohan. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for joining us. We expect to see you more on more workshops.
Awesome. Thanks everybody for joining today.